down. I'm the one you call when you need a turn up or down. I'm a tent rental man, I'm working all day, getting those stakes in the ground no matter what they say. From sunrise to the night, I make sure everything's right. Yeah, I'm a tent rental man, I'm working all day.
Welcome back to another episode of Under the Vinyl, a rental management media podcast. As always, I have my, co-host. I'll be nice today. How are you, Kyle?
I'm good, Nate. You know what I just realized, though?
What's that?
We should have changed our shirts because now people are going to think we wear the same shirts every time we record episodes.
You know, I thought about that before I sat down, and then I just didn't want to get back up. So it's okay. We do stockpile episodes from time to time because we do get busy, right?
Damn right we do.
So how are you doing today?
I'm great. You okay? You're at home, it looks like.
I am. I'm at home. I was in the office all day, and at home. So we're good. Not traveling until next week. I'm on the road the next 3 weeks for all good stuff. I will see you in about 2 weeks in Nashville, and then I'll see you again in Atlanta.
Yep, the week after.
I just don't think we can get away from each other. I don't know if that's a good thing. So
We'll see if we're still friends.
my liver was prepped when we went to the beach, and now I'm trying to recover to get back to where we were. So we'll get there. But today we got a great guest. I think we've kind of been holding out for this guy. You know, he's a veteran guru of the industry. We're trying to course him into maybe a little bit of something later on with us and a little partnership. And so, you know, we just figured this is a great time. The big representative of the Tent Mafia to bring him in. Pat, how you doing, buddy?
I'm great. Thank you, guys. Hey, I have a quick question for you guys since, I'm going to be hit with a lot of questions. You guys just mentioned how much you're going to see each other. Is there ever too much Nate, Kyle? Or Nate, is there ever too much Kyle?
Yes.
You know what the funny thing is? I talk to Kyle more than I talk to anybody in my family, including my wife, on a day-to-day basis. And it's not even because of this podcast. It might be a 2-minute conversation and a hang up and a 2-minute conversation and a hang up, and then it goes on all day long.
Nice.
We play phone tag half the day.
There's a lot of bitching and complaining in therapy sessions back and forth throughout the day.
But hey, kidding aside, thanks for having me, guys. I do appreciate it. It's been pretty cool to watch. As a elder statesman in the industry, I don't always listen to podcasts, but we're not even it's yours. So
that seems to be the consensus that we have had to push these older guys into getting into podcasts and things like that. When you talk to them, like, yeah, I've listened to an episode from like number 2. And I'm like, yeah, we're at like 70 something by now. And they're like, oh, okay, we'll go back and listen to it. So appreciate that.
This is true confessions. I didn't realize there was video involved. I thought it was just talking on the phone. So
you're going to look good on this YouTube channel. I promise you. I mean, everybody else thinks I look good because apparently I dye my beard, but I just hit the enhancement button, so we're good.
I hope there's something like that on my end. Did you get me in post?
Yeah, I love it. Well, Pat, give us a little brief rundown of just how you got in this crazy industry, and your career path. You know, getting to Losberger and how you got to where you are right now.
All right, that'll be a minute. All right, so how did I get in the industry? I got in the industry by, believe it or not, ripping a tag off the wall at the community college I was going to. It said, work outside, give me your hands, it'd be great. Yeah. So it was a Taylor rental that was here in New Jersey where I live. And so I went in, and the guy that was the manager, his name was Mike Smalley. This is a general tool place. He went to the same high school as I did. He's like, oh, you're hired. So I got hired not based on merit, based on what school I went to. And so I started, and I'm like, all right, when do we do this whole outside thing? That sounds fun. And he's like, well, we got something else for you first. So he takes me back into this kitchen, and they had like 3 weeks worth of china sitting there. And he's like, all right, well, we're going to go ahead and get that started. So I did china, wash dishes for a week straight. My first week in the tent business. So I was real close to not being in the tent business anymore because I was never technically in it. But things worked out. And so I worked there for a long time. I worked there, I don't know, probably up to about 95, from 80 something to 95. And then I had an opportunity to go down to work on a project in Atlanta for the Olympics in 96. So I got hired by a company called Remsburg Tent, which was just becoming a national player at the time. And the two crazy George Poston, or three of them, George Poston, Doug Remsburg, and Dennis Remsburg, landed this project amongst some big players at the time. And they needed somebody to run it. So I said, okay, I'll go live in Atlanta. So I went and lived in Atlanta for a year. And after that, that's where I met Losberger for the first time, actually. I met Matthias Roth, who was, most of you guys all know, he was the one that founded Losberger US in '95. But he started with the first project was the Olympics in Atlanta. So believe it or not, the first Losberger I ever touched was a beer tent, which is sounds kind of cliche, but it was for wash
Very
runner.
fitting for you.
Back in the old days, I'm a little bit more refined now, Kyle. But yeah, so we worked for them, and then I moved back up after the Olympics wrapped up. I moved back up to New Jersey and kind of did rentals out of here for the next couple of years, and then the owners sold to United Rentals when they got in the tent business in the first go round, and I just didn't see me working for that kind of a company anymore. So the folks at Losberg, actually the folks at Eureka came knocking. At the time, Eureka was managing Losberger stuff here in the U.S. So Jimmy and Ken reached out and said, "Hey, why don't you come work for us as a product manager?" And I'm like, you know what? It's time for me to make a switch. So I went over there, and against Jimmy's, told me I was going to hate it, not like work for Eureka, blah blah blah, and he was right. But yeah, so that kind of started the whole into the manufacturing side, and then about 6-7 months into the project, working at Eureka, Matthias came back to me as Losberger and said, "Hey, we're gonna do Losberger US as its own entity. Why don't you come do that with us?" I'm like, well, I just switched jobs. I wish you would have told me that before I switched jobs. But so that's how that started. So that's how I ended up at Losberger. The short and sweet version of it.
This episode of Under the Vinyl is brought to you by Keder Solutions. When performance matters, tent manufacturers and rental professionals turn to Keder Solutions for premium Keder fabric, rails, hardware, and accessories built for demanding applications. From event tents and fabric structures to industrial enclosures, we provide the components that keep your projects standing strong. Keder Solutions, where quality materials meet proven performance. Visit KederSolutions.com to learn more, or call us today and mention Under the Vinyl to receive 15% off your first order.
Did you imagine that this would be a lifelong career?
Heck no. I ripped that thing off the wall. I figured it'd be summer job. I'd be boom, boom. So funny is, I was actually, the tailor owner I worked for was the Stanley Tools. I'm sure you guys know Stanley Tools. They make all that, gadgets and stuff. So they paid for 2 years of my tuition. And what they didn't understand was you had to work full time, and they would reimburse up to like 80% of your tuition. So I turned in, these bills, and they're like, "There's no way somebody that works full time can make that cut, can still go to school." And then the owner or the manager at the time is like, "This is the part they don't understand about the rental business. I got 40 hours in like 3 days. So it wasn't very hard. I went to school the other days." So Stanley paid for my school, and I sent them a nice letter. "I want to help you do things right." Their slogan back then. They're like, "Oh, we're not hiring." So I didn't owe them anything. So I was like, well, now what am I going to go do? So I stuck around, and then one thing led to another, and here we sit today. So no, I never thought I'd see half the world and put tents up all over the place. So
Now, how do you think you got the Atlanta Olympics job? What was it? Did you have a connection?
So to be clear, I didn't get it. I worked it once they had it.
Yeah.
So I think Doug got it from a good old boy network. There was a guy named Wayman that ran it, and he and Doug were old Air Force. Both Air Force. They hit it off. Oddly enough, here's a fun fact. So there was 3 main contractors for the stuff for the Olympic Committee. It was Academy Tent and Canvas from California, the old Academy tent. It was us, and De Boer was the third, oddly enough. So talking about coming full circle. So now we're all one big happy company here back at Losberger De Boer. So those two companies merged. So Losberger started in 1919. De Boer started in like 1924, I think. So they're both pretty old established companies. And we merged both entities back in I think 2017. So
And
yeah,
just
so
for the
that was
listeners that,
so I think Doug got it by good old boy network is how he got it.
well, that's still a thing, right? We all know
Yeah,
that.
it was kind of a thing. Yep, sure is.
So for the listeners, give us a little bit of what's the difference between Losberger and then what was De Boer? What you guys merged together, but
Up
just tell us the
until
difference.
so so Losberger is a German company. De Boer is a Dutch company, and Losberger was always a manufacturer, and we're also a rental company everywhere in the world, but over here in the U.S. And De Boer was just a rental company, and they bought some product, our Revolution product that was made by the French operations back then. They were a big customer of Losberger when Losberger acquired the Walter French company, so they were a customer of Losberger's. And then when Friedrich Losberger got out totally, the group that bought us merged us and bought De Boer and merged the two of us together, basically because of the synergies in rental in Europe. There were a lot of crossovers, so we figured we combined those, and it's worked out pretty well to this day, actually. The rental operations, which is something we still do worldwide, they're pretty good at it. We just don't do anything over here in the States. De Boer tried right after the Olympics and realized that the U.S. wasn't quite ready for that price point yet. So they pulled up stakes and left.
I still don't think the U.S. is ready for the price point.
I didn't want to say it, but yeah.
Hey, you guys said it, not me, but I agree that we could probably do a little better, all of us.
Yeah,
It's
it just
been
keeps
so that's the connection between the two. So now we're a joint company, and we've merged some operations, and we're a little leaner now. So it goes well. It does well.
wonderful, wonderful. And so when you came over to Losberger, what were you doing? What was your day to day?
So when I first came, there was three of us. There's Doug Remsburg, myself, and Sean Remsburg, who's still there today. That was Doug's nephew. And Doug and Sean were working out of Doug's house in Frederick. And then I was still working out of here in New Jersey. And, I can't think of who the first person we sold a tent to, but we didn't know what to do. We were going to start stocking stuff, so we got a warehouse, and we brought over a 20 by 30, and you know how that goes. We brought in a 20 by 30 meter, and somebody needed a 10 meter or a 15 meter, so we had to break it apart. And there's three of us. Sean doesn't know a tent from a paper clip. So I remember one time way back in the early days, Sean had I needed to get like a little connector that you use to tension a roof panel. We needed to send like 6 of them to somebody. I said, Sean, I'm not driving to Frederick to load these. I said, you're going to have to figure this out. I'm pretty sure they're out in the warehouse to the left. And we had like 12 things in the warehouse. So it wasn't very hard to find. So I send him out there, and I was like, all right. He's like, is it like a long rectangle? I said, yeah, it's kind of like a tube thing. He said, I'll tell you what, drop it on the ground. He's like, what? I said, drop it on the ground. So he drops it on the ground, and I was like, yep, I know what it sounds like. That's what it sounds like. I said, so we load it by sound. Yeah, we loaded it by sound back then. So the day-to-day back then was a little crazy because we were still building. But I'd like to say it's got easier, but we're probably 4 places later now in Frederick. We're still staying in Frederick, based there turns out it's actually pretty centrally located to get to most of our customer base. But that's where Doug was based. So that's kind of where they started. So now everybody's from there, so I can't move them anywhere, or I'll be doing it by myself again.
But at that point, you were just in sales, and you weren't in
there was the 3 of us. So it was just I was the salesperson and technical person, and I was also, what else did I do? I was the recruiter. I was the sales and marketing guy. I was did a little bit of everything, and then we kind of grew from there. We had Dave Mack. You guys had him on a while back. He came and worked with us, and he brought in his sales expertise. So he and I worked together and kind of basically split the country up. He did a part, and I did a part. And then Doug had an opportunity to move on and do something else. So that was probably about 4 or 5 years later. So I don't know, about 2005 or so, 6, get around somewhere in that range. So I'll never forget this. So Matthias comes over. He's like, hey, Doug's leaving. He goes, what do you think? You want to take over as the top spot? I'm like, yeah, I guess so. I was like, who else are going to bring it in? I don't necessarily play well with others sometimes. So I was like, yeah, I should probably be put in charge.
Take
goes,
that role.
well, it's yours if you want it. He goes, are you sure? He asked me 3 times if I was sure I wanted to do it. So I guess he knew better than I did. But yeah, so that's how I got to the top spot, is by default, the other guy left. So
Hey,
it's,
And
whatever it takes to get to the top.
yeah, you know what, Kyle? Sometimes it's just what it's last man standing. That's how I became president one time. Matra. I left the room and I got they put me as president.
You were
So
voluntold for the position.
voluntold. I get voluntold a lot more nowadays, but yeah. But it's that's kind of how the whole Losberger thing came about. But it's been a good ride.
then
It's
what?
been 20 some.
But at
Sean's
what
still
point
there.
did you? What point did you hit leadership? When did you start to get the leadership and take over the kind of U.S. presence, and you were the face of the U.S.
Yeah,
presence?
so when Doug left and I was in one last month standing, they said, okay, how about you manage it now? So that
And,
was
and
6, I guess it was. Yeah, give or take.
what made you different at that point, or what was kind of your feeling going into that leadership role? Now you're the last one standing, and
I
you're
still am actually, I guess.
told, what are you going to do, and how did you want to do it?
So what made me different is I didn't know what the hell I was doing that day. Jeez,
Yeah.
come on. That's the funny thing is I'd always been a boss at different stages. And I don't know if that's because I don't like people telling me what to do, or I don't know, I was a little bit more active than others. But yeah, not knowing and trying to figure it out as we went. So we made a lot of mistakes, but we also did things differently that weren't done before because we didn't know any better. So whether it be stock and inventory or doing a trade show display that took us 3 days to put up. Took a piece of paper looked like a piece of cake, but we're, fully decking stuff out, putting 2-story buildings up. And I burned through a lot of favors back then because it was still just pretty much me and Dave and I. And, yeah. So yeah, learning by fire is what kind of got us to where we are here.
That's also what happens when you put a bunch of sales guys out there to put things up, right? And it looks good on paper.
I hear about it all the time now. They're like, "Oh, we're getting a little bit old now. I don't know if we can be putting tents up." And I was like, I give them up. I put a display up one time. It was a 30 by 15 meter and 2 12 by 15s for a 2-day show. I don't want to hear it. And now
Hey,
I'm like,
I'll give you guys credit. When we were down at ATA and Anna was out there grabbing P7 tops and tossing them around, and she was out there grinding. So y'all
she
get it
better
done.
be. She's the youngest of all of us, so she better be out there grinding. So, the group's good. And it's something that I've always it's kind of been a badge of honor for our sales team that they're they are hands on. They're still the traders, and they're good at it. And it kind of separates us from some of the others maybe, but it's been a good thing. But I also realize that they're not there to be putting tents up; they're there to be selling tents. So we need that. There's a balance. There's a balance of that.
Yeah, but I think that's what separates you again and other companies, just one, the responsiveness and the just how you can interact with that salesperson. And then two, the willingness to come out to the side, show them how to do it and physically understand it and know what they're selling and put it up. Because how many times do you get a salesperson that sells and they send somebody out to then go put it up and they don't know what they're doing or how to do it? And having those people be so well rounded and be able to understand and also tell the customer what they're getting and what they're doing is big in setting that expectation, right?
Absolutely it is, but it's also hard to find and replace people when that happens, right? So, I mean, it's like you guys with a crew chief. You get somebody that can talk to a customer, run a crew, install the stuff, and turn in all the paperwork that you need, and he leaves. Now you have a guy that might be able to run a crew, can't talk to a customer. So to find the person that does all that is tough, and that's why I listen when they're telling me how old they're getting, that they need help. So.
Well, I don't think it needs to be a salesperson out there putting it up all the time, but at least they have the knowledge and understanding of moving into different positions. So that way you're always teaching, right? To take somebody, to have somebody
Absolutely.
take
You're always
position.
learning as well. It's not always so much teaching, you're always learning as well. And, the tents and everything has evolved so much. Even from when I started to where we are now, I was throwing frame tents up, and I don't talk frame tents at all now. Well, I guess we are a frame tent, but I don't talk traditional frame tents anymore. And for a salesperson to keep up with the times, they have to be involved. We just had one of our guys sell something that they had never dealt with before. He's like, and he asked me a question about it. He's like, "Why didn't you tell me?" I was like, Well, to be honest, I never put it up either. So now you're the expert. So there you go, transfer of knowledge. There you go. Now you're the expert. So
Yeah.
yeah, if you're not if you're not involved, it's hard to be authentic and be to be the sounding board that you guys need when you guys are looking for answers. And what makes
It
it good
is.
is that they're involved, and at least with our group, that they do talk a lot. So when the one sales guy figured out that he was the only one that knew how to do this prior, it was something relatively new for us. He shared all of his findings with the group. Now they all have that knowledge. Maybe not hands on, but they at least know. Okay, we don't do that. You got to do it this way.
It
So
didn't have to do with glass, did it?
I did not have to do it glass. No, I did not. But
Uh,
there's always something, right? You ask what my day looks like. I can tell you what I think it's going to look like tomorrow, but then by about 10 o'clock, that's changed. So
yeah. Yeah.
Do you feel like your field experience shapes how you're a leader for all your staff just because you've been doing it?
yeah, I would. Well, I would say I wouldn't ask them to do something I wouldn't do 10 years ago. But maybe, yeah, right. So I think you have a better understanding of what's involved. Uh, so the expectation level is more realistic because I kind of have a feel for what it's going to take. So I think that helps to be if I'm telling them to do something that I wouldn't do, then I mean that's not a very good leader, I wouldn't think.
I try and tell my guys that all the time, but then they want me to be out there in 100-degree heat, putting tents up with them.
It was interesting back in the Remsburg, the rental days. I was out there, and I'm helping the guys, and I'm the sales guy. I'm not their boss, but I'm the boss
Mhm.
of that job. And the way it worked is I worked remote up here in Philadelphia. So I had my own little warehouse here. When I say warehouse, I had a 10 by 30 garage storage thing. And that's where we kept the firewall that Dave would never seem to remember to send. So that's what we did there. But these guys they were good. They're like, we got it, boss. He's like, yeah, you go get the next one. You keep us busy. He's like, we got this
Mhm.
figured out now. So, I mean, there's a give and take. I mean, if you're not doing your job, you're not going to keep them busy. So if they can understand that, then everybody gets along.
Well, and then keeping the culture up as well, keeping the morale and everything there. I think you guys do a great job with that, just from what I've seen from the outside. But how do you feel that you keep the culture and the morale of everybody up in your sales team?
Bagels in the morning. That pretty much does it. They no, it's collaborative. I was a one horse show for a long time. So
Mhm.
now it's we just had a meeting where we're kicking ideas around, and there were no bad ideas, and it wasn't just the Pat show anymore. It's collaborative. So it needs to be that, or you're gonna go backwards. It's as simple as that.
Well, and with that, do you feel like then you're able to take a step back a little bit and you're kind of able to see from like a more
No, I'm
third party point of
overbearing.
view?
Absolutely not. Yeah, there's I'm still a control freak. No, actually, I have, especially in the show world,
Hmm.
the team has taken on a lot of that stuff, and I'll help wherever, and I give ideas. But unfortunately, the one side of becoming a boss, at least in the world I live in now, is there's a lot of stuff that's not really fun to do. Insurance, uh, you know, it, health and business, leases, I call non-revenue generating, whole not a lot of fun. I mean, I don't know if that's a Wharton School of Business term, but it's not a lot of fun. But it's
Hmm.
uh, it's the stuff that I have to do anyway. So that if I could do that in a normal time frame without having to do it on a weekend or something, because we were out doing other stuff. So that helps. And yeah, and you know what? Our customer base has grown. So the day to day of quoting and that kind of stuff, they manage themselves really well. So that's taken a lot off the plate of the old days for sure.
And in a world where, especially like right now, and we talked about this the other day with like e-commerce and everything else and Amazon and your salespeople, how are they adapting? Or you're teaching them to adapt, and just it's a relationship business, and the responsiveness and being quick about it. Do you feel like? Because I feel like you guys do a pretty good job of being pretty quick and responsive, but how do you teach that, and what are you doing with them to say, hey, we got to get things back in a timely manner because everybody wants it and they want it now, and nobody can wait 6 to 8 hours like they used to.
Right, right. 6 to 8 hours. That's funny. Right. So it's a pretty simple rule, Nate. That if you know, most of the customers they have, at least the older standing customers that we have, started with either me or Dave or I. And So these guys have inherited them, and they kind of had to earn their respect. When they call you, they have to kind of earn. Hey, I'm just going to call Pat. Well, that's kind of not the transition. So it's pretty simple. If they get called and they don't answer, then I get a phone call, then I call them first. That's not a good thing, right? So they have to respond before somebody calls me instead. So that's how we do that.
I
No,
like that. Is that written in the handbook, Pat?
what's that?
Is that written in the handbook?
It's written somewhere, but it's not in the handbook. Yeah, it's not. It's not. There's nothing. There's no paper trail of that one. It's not so much. And I kid with that. It doesn't happen because they're good at it. It goes all the way to all the way through our office as well. The office is the same way. I would. I don't know if you guys have ever dealt with Sean in our office, but I had a customer call one time, old time guy, Tom Strader. So Strader calls me. He's like,
Yeah.
"Yo," he goes, "I just want to tell you." He goes, "That dude Sean is unbelievable." He goes, "I asked him for something. I was saying goodbye, and it showed up in my inbox." He goes, "That was the first I've ever received anything in my life." So it goes from the inside sale or inside support all the way through the whole team, and it's I think they don't. It's that it's not even something that was taught. It's just they're good at it. It's what they've always done. It's expected. They know it's expected, and they respond to it.
That's something that is it's instilled within you. It can't be taught as much as it has to be
Right.
instilled within you.
If you have to keep explaining to somebody why you have to get back to them, they're probably not the right fit for the position. So
Exactly.
yeah.
And so then with that, with Losberger, what are people really paying for? We talked at the beginning about prices going up and things increasing, right?
Yeah.
What do you feel like they're really paying for when they're paying for a Losberger structure and people come to you?
You brought it up in the previous question. They pay for the. I mean, where we shine is the support after the sale. I mean, we're good at it. It's what we do. We only sell clear spans. They're our frame. We're not a distributor, so it is our stuff. We control the whole process, and our team is good at helping because it's the landscape is just harder. Permits are harder. Crews. The guy that was going to set your tent up doesn't show up that day. Now you need to help talk the next guy through how to do it, and you're busy, so you get support from our side. And I've always said, actually, it's not even recently, that you don't realize how much you'll need our help until you need our help. Because you don't go, "Oh, I'm never going to call you." I'm like, "Yeah, I guarantee you're going to be calling me. I don't know what it's going to be for. It could be from a splice pin to a building official to shut us down. I mean, it runs the whole gamut. Or my guys didn't load this. How do I? Can you find me this in, Alaska? And we can help you find that through our dealer network is huge. What makes us different? Our guys play well in the sandbox together, and it's because we manage that. It's one thing just to say, "Oh, we have customers everywhere." It's a full-time job managing the relationships between you crazy rental guys.
Well, and
It's
I feel bad sometimes because I'm calling to not purchase something, but I'm calling because I need to, hey, can you look at this drawing for me? Like I remember the other day, hey, can you look at this drawing for me and tell me if these weight loads will work in these spots? And it's like, I'm not calling to get a sale from you or purchase something in that moment, but it's like, so I feel bad, but I'm taking up the time. But at the same time, there's no bitching, no complaining. I get what I need back. And it's like, no problem. We got you. We can handle
Right.
this.
I will tell you this: if you keep this between us, they do keep coordinating. You're starting to run out of those.
Hey, the good news is
okay.
that the
That's,
good news is I've got an order coming your way on Monday. So
there we go. There we
my
go.
brownie
See, so
points
it
are
all
back up.
balances. That resets the clock. That resets it. Now that's the part that's the unforeseen when you look at it. When you look at a Losberger costs 100 and the other guy costs 60, right? Oh my God, that's so much more. I'm like, we are more, but there's also a lot more with it. This tent looks like this tent. I'm like, yeah, they kind of do. But I said, from the moment you get that and you get your 20 meters shipped to you in the back of a box truck, you're taking each piece off by hand. I'm like, okay, well, there you go. You just spent an extra, you just start this. Why don't we keep a running tab of all the extras that you end up spending? And all of a sudden my price starts to get a little better. And at some point, it's going to keep getting that way. You're going to keep going, and we're not that. And if you would have went with us in the first place, or a company similar to us, I guess you might be the initial outlay is a lot, but then it kind of balances as the life cycle goes through that tent, because it's not one and done. If you're one and done, then you're probably not a growing company. If you only have to talk to your manufacturer once every time you have to buy something. Because we're a sounding board. We don't have all the answers, but we see a lot of answers. I mean, we talk to a lot of people. So I mean, without giving away trade secrets from other companies, we go, you know what? We had another guy that mad that this is how he managed it. Oh, that makes sense. So I mean, a sounding board, the dealer network, the support once you buy the 10 is that's where the service starts. That's where the money, that's where we have to put our money where our mouth is.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep.
while you're talking about the tents, Pat, is everything coming over from Germany? Are you guys manufacturing anything stateside in your facility in Frederick?
We do all of our also nothing is all. Let's go that. So in Frederick, we produce. We have a fabulous staff there that does vinyl, all textile products. I'll bring in sidewalls in bulk just because it's just easier to have somebody else make it because it's time consuming. Frame is still in from Germany. I get custom pieces made here stateside now, and I don't have the aluminum stretcher, but we have the aluminum chopper, so we can make stuff smaller. So that's what we do in Frederick when we have to. But no, we still have everything coming in. I don't know. We probably do I would say, depending on the time of the year, 2 to 4 containers a week in Frederick.
Do you have an inventory number your goal is to have sitting in the yard at any time? Just so
Mine or my
customer
boss's?
calls?
Yeah. So yeah, it's hard because we have a lot of shared parts, right? As you guys are familiar. So we have a program that works across all of our tents. So if I say, okay, we want to have 5 20 by 30s available at all times, that's great. But then if I also want to have 5 15 meters, I have to double up on some stuff. Plus, because of our customer base and we're as large as it's gotten as large as it has over the years, we do a lot of parts selling. So we have guys that buy a lot of stuff and need a lot of stuff quickly sometimes. So I could have plenty of a shared part one day, and then somebody calls an order for just that part, and now we're without that part for the other stuff. So this is a long-winded answer to dollar amount. So it's an ongoing, Kyle. We're always juggling that number. In the $10 million range is probably what we keep in Frederick, and that swells and shrinks. If you asked the guys that are further up the food chain than me, 5 million's plenty, but it's not how our business works. So we do well because we have it. And we work with guys like you that need it now, not in 8 to 12 weeks.
Yeah.
So
Well, and we've been talking about that a lot.
Shorter, right?
The timeline is way shorter now when we're finding out about work.
Exactly. And to be reactive with just go outside the event industry. I mean, the event industry is crazy enough as it is, and that is last minute. Sometimes there's a little bit more planning involved with that, but then it's something else happens and you find out you're short something. So, I mean, our goal is to be there to support that. I mean, that's what makes us look good in your eyes, which then in turn makes you look good in your customers' eyes. But
Exactly.
just larger projects in general come about with no notice. We shipped, Chris, what did we ship? The other day we shipped no, I never thought we'd be able to do it. We shipped 36 by 6 meter piece heavens, 30 of them in one day. Or we thought we shipped in 2 days. But I'm like, really? I was a little surprised.
On the shelf. That's pretty damn good. That's awesome.
We did have to, we had to switch a couple parts from a valued customer of ours, just some basic things, and we'll send him some new stuff later. But yeah, so I mean, a wise man said in the tent business, you probably interviewed him one of these days, he who has it wins. So if we have it, I mean, if we have it, we could. But I also, I mean, I'm also a realist. We can't sit on, if you think about it, I mean, in the manufacturing side, you have people like, why don't you have all this stuff on the shelf? Well, just think about a life cycle. So we pay for that piece of aluminum when we buy it, right? So it gets bought. It takes 4 to 6 weeks to make it, 2 weeks to get it over here. So we're a couple months in now. Now it sits in my warehouse for 3 to 6 weeks, maybe even months if they don't, it's not moving. And then one of you guys buy, or not you guys, maybe not you two, but another customer buys it and they take 45, 60 days to pay for it. So now that we've paid for that thing almost 9, 10 months ago, some stuff a year ago.
Mhm.
So so there's a balance between what you can sit on, and that target's always moving. I could bring in all one profile, then the next year everybody buys the other profile. It's just inevitable. So to try to juggle that is an ongoing battle, but we have some experience, so we do a pretty good job.
Do you feel like you're sitting on more or less inventory since the COVID era?
It's probably about the same. The mix is a little different. We're not selling as much of our real small, our P8, our little stuff. So we're selling more of our P7 stuff. So we have more of that than the other. And a lot more of the bigger frames, the Uni and the Maxi, the big frame buildings. So
Now jumping into
and a lot more of the
jumping into
accessories. We do a lot more glass and doors and that kind of stuff. And it, that's basically, if you look at it as a dollar amount, it just adds to the dollar amount. So what am I going to take out to keep the dollar amount the same so I can keep this instead of that?
Do you feel like that you're pushing people more towards a P7 or a P8? Because I feel like obviously there's certain people that could still benefit from the P8. I get that, but P7 is more of the engineered. You're moving towards the bigger structures, right? I feel
Right.
like in a way. So are you
Well-
trying to push people more towards one or the other, or are you just figuring what their applications are better for?
So the best thing we can do, Nate, is we don't push, we listen, and then try to advise, right? So everything, well, you said something, everything we do is engineered. So it's not like P8's not engineered. It's just, and for those who don't know, that's our little P8 and P7 are our 3-meter base stuff, which is just so people do realize we do things other than big tents. We do little tents too.
Yeah.
Which is always a common misconception. But that stuff, there's a place for everything. And sometimes a rental mistake, I would say, or a rental purchaser mistake is trying to find the one frame that's going to do everything for you. And it's just, man, it's an unrealistic ask. It's an unrealistic ask for anybody. It's not just me, any manufacturer. I want one tent that does it all. I'm like, all right, well, here's a Maxi 50 meter. Go do your 20-foot wide tent with that. Good luck. Right.
Yeah.
So, I've always said that it's for us, it's two systems. Which one's it going to be? This one and this one, or this one and this one? So, pushing's probably not the right word. P7 has evolved into a bigger seller because it just does more things. You can do glass with it. You can than the other profile. So it really has. It's not so much a push. It kind of did it on its own. The rental industry is just getting more sophisticated. There's just bigger asks, and the market's asking for more out of what your tents can do, which is great because we were already there. I mean, it's kind of funny. I was on a call a couple of years back about engineered tents. I'm like, they're like, well, what do you think? I was like, oh, you guys don't have them all? I said, we've always had them. I said,
What are you waiting for?
and I was like, okay, now we're going to talk about it. I said, I deal with it. I literally deal with engineering at least once a day, if not 5 times a day. So it's really that the team really has to deal with it because that's something they did take off my plate. They deal with like your ass. They'll deal with it themselves now with our engineers. So that's been engineering. Ugh.
Yeah, but it's become more of a thing, like you're saying. I mean, in a lot of places, and everybody's asking for it more, and the codes and what we're trying to change with the codes, and that's why I had a conversation today about talking about a pole tent that somebody's looking to buy versus a structure,
Right.
and how they want to leave this pole tent up for 3 months, and I'm just cringing at the conversation and talking to them about the structure, and they're trying to get the concept of the expenses and everything else. So it's like, the engineering is a thing now, especially with the accessories of glass and everything else. I mean, that go into it. The code officials are so much on our ass nowadays. If it's not engineered or you don't have the engineered product, that you're not doing it. You're not going to do the job.
Right. So correct me. See if you guys think I'm correct in this statement that the ASC and whatever we are, the ASC standard is an oxymoron because there was nothing standard about it. Because the code guy is asking you for something different. That's asking you for something. That's asking me for something different. That's the biggest thing we do is adjust what we have as standard for whatever the local guy's asking for, and that's what you deal with.
Well, to that point, what was it, 15 if it had to be 15 years ago, maybe a little less than that, 10, 12 years ago, when we all went to Louisville and sat down in the courtroom thing there and went over the codes, and we were pushing for these codes and everything, and that this was going to get passed, and then it got passed, and then all of a sudden now Louisville made us require all these stamps and everything else, these stamp books.
Right.
And then 4 years ago, we spent all this money on engineering for the tents that we needed to for this big festival in Louisville, and we produced it and everything after we spent all this money for engineering, $10,000 plus dollars, and they came back and said, "Oh, we don't need that. That guy died. We don't really know what we're doing."
That guy died. There you go.
And so it's like, yeah. So it just goes back to, it's like, I guess, what market you're in and who actually really cares, and do they care? I mean, this is such a deep dive rabbit hole, but the engineering matters.
Any more time than this.
Yes, the engineering matters. That's all everybody needs to know.
Yeah.
But with that, our structures replacing permanent buildings. The semi-permanent structures replacing more of the permanent buildings, because I feel like that's become a big wave, especially with the big companies coming out and buying all these little smaller companies now.
Right.
United, Sunbelt, things like that.
So it's always been a challenge with the stuff that we sell, the structures, was goat structures and quote the Losberger structures, that you put a 50-foot wide Losberger next to a 50-foot wide West Coast frame. They're like, well, that's got to be safer. Look at that. That's got to be engineered. Or ours had to be engineered and that one didn't, because ours looks different. And the reality is ours is the safer one of the two. But so by the nature and the makeup of a structure, people think it's long-term. They think it's snow loaded. They think it's long-term, and it can check a lot of boxes, but it doesn't check all the boxes.
Right.
But back to our little rabbit hole of engineering, it goes to who you're dealing with. So my recommendation, yes, structures are getting used for longer term rentals. Absolutely. The old 180 days, you're talking about a pull tent. There used to be one down in Florida, right outside of Disney, that they take it down every 3 months, basically. Take it down, let it hit the ground, and put it back up again and reset the permit, which is just idiotic. But that's what they had to do. And
I'm not gonna say I have not done it.
Right,
Me either.
Exactly. And that's just that's an unrealistic approach to an issue, right? So yes, the structures are getting used much more longer term. It's always been a big deal over in Europe. I remember when we would do tours of our facility over there. We'd have people over there they would do how many people inevitably ask, how many square foot do you have here at Losberger? And they're like, I don't know, there's like 5 million square feet of tents they had, and they're like, and 2 million of it's out on permanent rental, or if it ever came back, it would never fit. So they've been doing long-term rentals in Europe for years. It's always been a thing. I think we are catching up a little bit over here with the length of rentals, and like you mentioned, the Sunbelts, that type of guy, where products are out for longer terms, which they're more than capable of being suited for if you adjust to what is a realistic ask for what you're trying to meet. So they're absolutely can make it. Heck, we have a tent here near my house that we sold for a golf course that was probably the second tent I put up at Losberger. It's still up. It's been up for 25 years through snow, it's a practical approach versus looking at a piece of paper,
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I guess I'm seeing more of the temporary larger structures. It seems like people are looking into it, more and more construction companies. That's why I ask. And it seems like there's more that people are trying to go after that work a lot more. So I guess, do you feel like the industry growth is being driven more on that side, or is it still in the party and your typical rental side of the business?
I think both sides are growing. The first one you mentioned, the construction side, what's appealing to that is there are more projects now, and it's long-term rental. What do you guys call it? Mailbox jobs?
Mailbox
Yeah,
money.
mailbox money.
So that's and might not need to be the cleanest for there's no Mrs. Anybody looking for it. So there's a smudge there. I mean, that kind of thing. So yeah, I think that is a growth potential. But what I think people need to caution against is, especially event rental people chasing that, is the price point is considerably different than what you're used to charging, and not in a good way. It's generally the other direction, and you got to be okay with that being out for as long as it's going to be out and coming
could
back.
come off
And
rental
probably need to
quicker.
throw it out. Most of it gets thrown out when he comes back. So to balance that, the cost at which you're going to, if you're not going to be turning a bunch of those, it could get, it's a dangerous expansion. And then on the event side, I mean, that just keeps getting bigger and bigger. I mean, you guys see the events you're doing, you just keep getting bigger and bigger, which is great. I mean, that's good for us. It's good for all of us. Not good for us. It's good for all of us. So,
Yeah.
I think, you know
And
what? It's a lot sexier to put up a cool event tent than it is to put up a warehouse. It's just more fun.
No, I don't
Come
agree.
on.
Pat,
Come
listen to me.
on.
Listen to me, because nobody listens to this janky podcast anyways, right? But if I never had to do another wedding the rest of my life, I would be a happy man, okay?
I'm with you.
I can, you know what? I can empathize with that because when I came back from the Olympics, I came back up here in my rental days. I came back up here to Philadelphia, and that's all I did. My biggest customer was Princeton Weddings. They're not even around anymore, but that was my biggest. Richard Kisco, you probably remember him, Kyle.
I know Richard. Yep.
Yeah. So I mean, these guys, that's all I did. I've actually refereed a mom and a daughter. I've had to separate them. I've picked invitations. I've picked flowers. I've done a wedding and a divorce party. It's
The same day.
same family. So
Well, it's more so the go backs that kill you on the wedding stuff, and the expectation that you're relying on a client as as the middle person, which is your wedding planner. And if they don't set the expectation, I mean, hell, I had to go power wash a guy's driveway about a month ago just because that was told, but it wasn't set, and so I had to get that done. But it's like, you're relying on somebody else. Where at least the construction, you know what you're getting into, and it's the timelines aren't as bad as what hey. You have a week long to do this, and that's it. Where the construction, maybe we can lag by a couple days or so because of weather, and it'll be okay.
I didn't say it was easier. I didn't say it was either. I said it wasn't as sexy.
Yeah, we don't. When have we missed a timeline in the wedding industry? That's what I want to know. We have not.
Yeah, it's funny when I worked for when United bought the Remsburg Group. I still work for them, and they're like, "Oh, you got to get all your equipment from United now." I'm like, "Oh, whatever." And I obviously, I had my own rental guy that I used, and I needed a Bobcat to put a tent up, and I had it was at the Philadelphia Zoo, and we had it over downtown in Philadelphia. And I was like, we needed one delivered there Saturday morning. Oh, we don't deliver on Saturday mornings. I'm like, okay, that's all I needed to hear. So we went right back to the mindset of they're like, oh, we'll deliver it on Monday. I was like, Monday's too late. I was like, Monday, I need it over here on Monday. I said, yeah, right. So yeah, the mindset of, well, we'll get to it. And that was it wasn't the guy's fault. It's just, that's how he did business. He didn't deal with, the job that had to come down and move to the next spot. It's not their world. So
Well, it's funny you say that, Pat, because the equipment industry is still like that today. You call them and you're like, I need it there first thing in the morning. Well, that's noon to them. I'm like, no, I need it at 6 a.m.
Right. And
if you say,
schedule, right.
And then if you say first thing, then they're going to an outside hauler and they're charging these extra fees and they're getting crappy with you. And you're like, we're in the same business, bud. Come on.
You know what, though? There is a little bit of a thrill. And you can't tell me that you don't like this, Nate. That I know it wears on you, but the thrill of being able to pull something off. That's yeah, exactly. Well, wait a minute. I was brown hair when I was still in the rental business. So there's still a thrill to that, and the can-do attitude. It's just
the pictures and stuff look sexy, and everybody, and that's why I always say it's an Instagram versus reality, right? So like that one I posted yesterday of the P3 Arkham we did out in Vail, Colorado this past month. That one came together. It was a great one. It was fast. It was, it was a planner from out of the country that we went over everything with them and everything, and then we put up the 9 meter by 9 meter that they told us we could put anywhere, and then they wanted it changed the day before after they watched us put it up and everything. So it's like, yes, it looks sexy, it's great, it's beautiful, but it's the expectations are sometimes just unrealistic and not there. Where construction's a little bit easier in that.
All right, so from a manufacturer's perspective, we have a truck loaded. You guys call it cancel or change your order, huh? So do I bring this call back up when that happen?
Yeah, bring it back up.
Hey, I haven't changed. I don't have no change orders.
The world's always changing. Come on, you can't. Everything isn't cut and dry. And to your point, that side is generally cut and dry. if they get it on Tuesday versus Wednesday or Wednesday versus Thursday is generally not going to stop that project if it's a
And
2-year
hell,
project. So
you typically know what your profit margins are going to be pretty quick because they knock off at 5 o'clock on the dot, and 5 o'clock on the dot, you're off the site. Where a wedding
yeah,
site, you're out there for 15 hours a day nonstop, right? So
yeah,
you never know.
yeah, and that's going to be that's something that'd be hard to get back into for me. Is that kind of
Yeah.
sleeping in a rest stop because I couldn't drive home after the job was over. Those kind of days. Yeah.
Well, you mentioned it a little bit, but on companies coming into structure and things like that, there's a lot of I think there's a lot of companies that are smaller that are coming into catered things and tents and structures, right? And everybody gets scared when you say structure. Like
Right.
you say a catered tent, and it's a different story. But you say structure, and everybody's like, I'm not there yet. I don't want to be there. I'm scared. So how would you approach a new person like that that's coming in and just tell them how they should evaluate what they need to buy and how they would get into that structure?
So I'll answer that with a story first. So I was at a trade show. I think it was Matra, and this is early on where it was me. I was putting the tent up with whoever I could find at the time to help me put tents up. Uh, so I collect a couple guys. We're putting our frame up, and it was probably like the second year or third year of the American version of a slide-in roof fabric, right? So I think Anchor might have had one there that year, and Academy probably had one there. And so this guy comes over to us, and he's watching us pull our tops on, and he's like, "Oh, so you guys got into the Keder business now too, huh?" I'm like, "Yep." He's like, "How long?" I was like, "Since they invented it back in '74." I was like, "Yeah." So yeah, so you're right. It was a totally new concept to him, and I'd been to that show 4 times before that, 4 years prior to that. So it's technology is scary. We made a joke about me not knowing about podcasts, right? So, if somebody is dealing with, most of them come out of the, 10 by 10 easy ups to the push up centipede 20 by 20. And then the next big step is into something that's 30 or 40 wide. And it just, there's not one right answer for everybody. That's the one thing that the people need to know. And you look at some of the forums and everybody has opinions, but it's what works for you. And obviously I'm a proponent of slide in fabric and the tilt up arches. And I think that works well. And, if somebody's getting into it for the first time, they need to do some homework and do a little bit of soul searching on their own of where they want to be, in 4 years or 5 years. If they want to be working out of their garage still in 5 years, then we're probably not the right person, or maybe slide in isn't the right way to go. But if you want to go from this step to the next step, it might make sense to start there now, and instead of trying to start 5 or 6 years down the road.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. And that's one of those things you talked about where you have to lean on your sales staff to educate the client.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things we do with our support after the sale is we do a lot of sales training with sales staffs. Of how to use our product better, how to sell our product better. And I mean, that's what we would offer the little guy doing it as well. I mean, this is how you get it out the door. The biggest thing is, oh, my market can't support that. I was like, well, does your market have a tent like this?
Yeah.
Yeah, if it doesn't have a tent like this, how do you know it doesn't support it? And then when you get into the bigger tents, they go, oh, they don't do that in my market. I was like, well, I bet you $5 somebody's coming to do it in your market. It's just
Right.
not you, right? I won't name any names, you traveling companies.
What are you talking about? All right, we're going to hit some rapid fire questions here, Pat. You ready? Favorite structure you've ever built?
Favorite I ever built? Wow. I did a shade structure at the Atlanta Olympics. It was really cool. That was neat.
Favorite event you've worked on?
So there's two. I would say the Olympics was cool, but that was a year-long event, so that kind of doesn't count. But then a yearly event, I used to do the fashion show in New York. That was a lot of fun.
Okay, that's a good one. Hardest lesson you've learned in the industry?
Cool. This is a tough one. This is a life lesson that I don't know everything.
That's
Yeah.
we should just end on that. That's the ender right there. What advice would you give a 20-year-old installer starting out?
use the tools that are available. I mean, just because you can carry 20 chairs doesn't mean you should carry 20 chairs. And if somebody has got some parts that don't work as well as they used to, I wish I would have done that. Yeah, there's a lot of technology out there that just makes things better, just makes it easier to do your job and work hard. Hard work outdoes anything.
Damn
Yep.
truth. That's hard to find.
It's true. What legacy do you hope to leave on this industry?
Me personally,
Yeah.
That I was a tent guy's guy,
I like it.
and that the industry's a little better because I was my little part of it was involved.
It's awesome.
That's awesome.
Love that.
All right,
Well,
Pat.
Before we close out here, where can people learn more about Losberger De Boer?
We have Facebook. I was given a note. We have Facebook. We have it. No, I'm kidding. www.losbergerdeboer.com. We do have our Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn, and then obviously the industry stuff. Come out and see us at the shows. We have some really cool stuff. We're going to show this upcoming November in Matra. In ARA, we have something cool planned.
And again, because nobody listens to this podcast, so if you wanted to tell the fans what's coming out and what's coming to Matra, something cool.
I would say that it's a twist on something that's probably sitting in your inventory.
Ooh,
so
okay.
It'll be it try to make tents fun. The box doesn't work anymore. What's the next greatest thing? And the funny thing is, what we're going to show was the next greatest thing when I showed it probably 20 years ago. So now we're just catching up. So,
full circle.
Yeah. They're right. But you guys come out with one of those things again, right? So
Yep.
Now it'll be fun. It'll be a fun year. And we're easily found, very easily found. And I appreciate you guys. Obviously, you kid, but I know, what are you guys up to? About 5,000 viewers now? 10,000? 25,000?
Man, we need to get
Is
that
there
blue
that many
check mark.
people in the industry?
Nothing to have to get on the computer and look at this. Like I said, I didn't even look video. I listened to you when I got back and forth to Frederick.
We got to pay people to come have beer with us. What are you talking about?
Come on, you guys are like, I see you walk around shows now. You kind of have a guide, Travelers Moving. Yeah, you got your own security now.
Oh man, maybe one day we'll be as good as you and be in the tent mafia.
The tent mafia. Yeah. I don't know if you want to be there.
That's a whole nother conversation for another day. But
that was looked good on a t-shirt. Yeah.
Or my golf tees. It looks good on my golf tees too.
There you go. Yeah.
Yep. So
it's very brandable.
Well, Pat, thanks for coming on today. We appreciate you telling your story. I know that we could dive in deeper and deeper here on Losberger as a whole and your story, but just appreciate you coming on and giving the listeners a little bit.
Thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Well, I'm sure we'll see you at the next conference, but this has been another episode of Under the Vinyl, a rental management media podcast.